And with that, we are live. It's interesting today because I am not using my normal microphone. I'm using this new lavalier mic, also known as a pen mic. So you'll have to let me know how it's going and how I sound. And I bought this a while ago, but I haven't really used it because I have my other mic. But I left my other mic upstairs. And so I decided to use this today. So I need your feedback to tell me if it's sounding decent or not, because I, of course, can't hear it. So I'm leaning on you. How does it sound? How does it sound? Let's see. Sounds good, but video lagging. That, unfortunately, that's just the state of things here. It's really weird. Because I just had a meeting with a client and there was no video lag at all. So I don't know if it's the song. You know where I don't lag is on Zoom. When I do Zoom, I don't have the lag. It seems like with StreamYard, there's a bit more of a lag. Now a little choppy. Do I have to like shut the show down again? And reboot like I did last time? It is definitely toasty out here. Can you guys hang with this, or do I need to reboot? You got to tell me. I'm looking to you. Hi, Shirley. Good to see you. There she is, the lovely and talented one, Dr. JoJo. If I don't get any feedback, really choppy. Okay, I'm going to reboot. Sorry, I have to do this. I'm going to reboot, and hopefully it'll be better. Come on back. Don't go away. We'll kickstart this mother. All right. How is that? Is that better? I look kind of choppy, and there is a log. And how is it? Am I better now? Am I more clear? Let's see. You can hear me fuzzy, reboot. Signal's really laggy. How about now? Much better? Yeah, for some reason, it's like my computer has to have an enema or something like that. It's like my computer has to have a colonic. Okay, good. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. And the mic is good. Let me just make sure I got the right mic signal here. I'm dealing with this. Yes, the new mic. How's the new mic sound? Is it good? Excellent. All right. We are here, 45, 49 strong and growing. Hey, Zeralath the Immortal. I was on with Zeralath the Immortal last night. Steve, can you put a link in for your show? I'd love to put a link in here. Steve and I had a great conversation yesterday, and Steve knows his way around the runes. He's a rune master. Lane is my middle name. Mike a little hot, but not bad. Okay. Little hot. It's got a windscreen on it. Anyway, how is everybody? You guys doing okay? It is hot here. Really hot. I just feel like we're on a tape loop. Oh, it's hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. Oh, today is really hot. Well, we are in Aries, right? The true node in Aries, and the sun is in Leo. The sun is now in the third decan, which puts it in the Aries decan. So it is going to be hot. It's going to be metaphorically hot, and it's going to be, well, meteorologically hot. And if I didn't mention it yesterday, a big shout out to David, the Leo Daddy. And he sent me a text, typical David fashion, about 1:30 in the morning. We bought him a little gift for baby Aurora, and I got to credit Dr. JoJo with this. So I'm like, we got to get David something. What do you get somebody, for their baby? Like, I haven't really given many baby gifts, to be honest with you. It's not like a lot of my friends have had babies. And Dr. JoJo said, well, why don't we get them like a planet mobile to put above the crib? I'm like, hey, that's a really good idea. So I went online, and Pottery Barn had this really cool planet mobile, although I did notice that there was no Pluto. So I've got a little bone to pick with you, Pottery Barn. But the quality of this mobile is quite nice, right? So I sent David a text just to let him know that it was, from me. And I said, if you get this package from Pottery Barn, it's from me and Joan. And he said, okay, I'll look out for it. So the package arrives. He unpacks it, sees that it's the planets. It will be the mobile that will be suspended above her crib. And then he and Sophia have to go to the hospital because she's going to have a baby. Kind of interesting, right? Like a nice sync that the package shows up, it's the planets, and then they're off and running. And she's got a good chart, I have to say. That new moon in Leo sun, Libra rising. So she's going to be beautiful and popular. So now we have a Leo princess. And congratulations, David. I know you're incredibly happy and on cloud nine. And I hope that you and Sophia can inhabit that bliss bubble for as long as you possibly and humanly can, because having a child changes your life. And I would say for the better. It was interesting because I had to think about what it was like for me when my son was born. And, I told the story before. It didn't go as planned. It did not go as planned. we were gonna, I talked about having the dolphin birth, which to this day I still think would have been kind of cool. Although a number of you pushed back on the dolphin birth. So we settled for the bathtub birth, but there was a place in San Diego called the Birthing Center. It was the only one in the country that had a doula and a bathtub, and they were like wired for this. We did all of our, prenatal care with them and everything. It was very cool. I'm thinking to myself, this marriage and this birth has promise. Look at this. Ideologically, we are on the same page. And I had this playlist. I put hours of time into this playlist, right? My son was going to come into the world, bathed in, you know, love and water and music, right? And then there was a serious lack of dilation. And we wound up having to go to a straight hospital. And it was everything that we didn't want to have, right? And it was an interesting journey, just in terms of that whole experience, which I'm grateful for. Um, and then there was the being the dad after the birth, right? And it for a lot of men, they get very driven to provide. It's like the caveman gene kicks in. I got to go out and take down a mastodon because we got to eat. We got more mouths to feed, right? And I'd seen this with men who'd become fathers. Oh, that's impressive. You got really ambitious, right? Your ambition just leveled up. And it was a funny place for me to be. And I can talk about astrology around this too, because at that time I was 44. And as I, you know, dove into my astrological, that was really the beginning. Like I knew astrology and I would use astrology, with my tarot readings because I would use the Crowley deck with tarot and they had, the various symbols astrological. And I knew where the planets were. And, so it wasn't like I wasn't conversant in astrology. It just wasn't my main tool. And during this period, it began sort of this transition to more astrology. So, I was looking into where Saturn was. It was going through my eighth house. It was in Cancer. I have Saturn in Capricorn. I was going through a Saturn opposition. I was 44. And one of the things that, Saturn does during the opposition for men is a lot of men will become late fathers. And sometimes now, even with, medical technology, women can become late mothers. But it's usually Saturn is there's the father factor. So that's what happened to me at 44. And I had just left and I was like going in the other direction. I was like, now I'm not at this corporate gig anymore. So now I'm the stay-at-home dad. It's so, the whole idea is that the father, theoretically during this time becomes sort of engorged with ambition, right? That's what the father's supposed to do. Now he's got another mouth to feed or two mouths to feed or whatever. He's like, I'm going to go for it, right? But that's not what happened. Yeah, I left my corporate job because we had this. We both worked at the same company, and we had an offer to move to New York. And this company I'd worked for 5 years was going to go to the next level, right? They were going to the next level. The investors who bought the company were going to put big money behind it, advertising. It was a dream. I love New York. It was going to be like, playing in a really big sandbox. It's like, okay, we get to roll up our sleeves and mix it up with the adults. Because I've always felt that way about New York. That's where, it's true. If you're going to make it anywhere, it's going to be New York because people take things seriously in New York. And, my son's parents, relatives were East Coast people. And my parents are West Coast people. So, I convinced her to stay on the West Coast because I'm an only child or only son, right? Only offspring. And it's like, well, hey, it might be fun for my parents to get to know their grandkid. And then we made a conscious decision not to, jump to the next lily pad and go to New York, right? So she got an immediate job offer with a company. She did incredibly well with this company, But there I am. I'm the stay-at-home dad. Now, there's a crosswire with the instincts. I'm just telling you. There was a crosswire with the instincts because I don't think she was really happy. Maternally, I know that there was a disconnect. That she really wanted to be at home with that kid, my kid, right? And I know this for a fact. But because, I don't have a problem saying this, but because that she had gone to a college where there was a certain type of indoctrination, we'll call it women's studies, right? In psychology and literature, but it was all kind of in that world, that she was convinced that this is what she had to do. And she had a mother who was independent and worked and the whole nine, right? And I don't think she was happy. I think her instincts maternally wanted to be at home. And there was a part of me that wanted to be out in the world. So we had this real kind of crosswire thing going on. So here I am at 44 and I have this kid and, I'm pushing him around a baby cart and going to, playgrounds. And it was something that I wouldn't trade in now for, any of it because we had a really great time doing that, right? But something kicked in during that time where I did become more ambitious, but it was something very different than because I didn't have a job. My job was my son at that time, and I was doing some writing for the company that I had worked for. And one of the things that I did, and you probably heard the story before, was I had Paul Horn, who was a great musician and is kind of the father of new age music. And I did an interview with Paul, and I really liked Paul. And Paul was a Pisces, and we hit it off. And I asked Paul, if he had ever thought of playing a concert in Grace Cathedral, which is this massive cathedral in Nob Hill in San Francisco. And I had seen concerts there before. I'd seen Pharoah Sanders perform there and had been inspired by the sounds, the deep, rich ambient sounds that kind of real medieval, middle age, flying buttress, open transom architecture can just absorb. And I'd had this record by these guys, Beaver and Krause, Paul Beaver and Bernie Krause, and it's called Gandharva. And they recorded most of it in Grace Cathedral. And I used to listen to that record a lot because I loved the atmospheric and ambient sounds. So it felt like a fit to me. And Paul said yes. He said he would, he agreed to do this concert with me at Grace Cathedral. Let me give you a visual of Grace Cathedral if you're not familiar with it. It's really, really impressive. It's just a very impressive church. This is what it looks like on the inside. I'll show you. So this is what it looks like, and there's here's the outside, right? I mean, it is straight out of the Middle Ages, and they have a labyrinth on the. This is the front of the church where you walk in. They have a labyrinth in there. It's a very powerful structure, and it sits right across from the Masonic auditorium, which is interesting, right? And you have these great stained glass windows, and it's big. This is a really big space. And so Paul eventually played up here. Then my job was to fill all these pews with paying customers, right? And you can kind of get the size and the scale of this thing. And it was a kind of a big vision, right? And astrologically, I have Jupiter and Sagittarius in my first house. So yeah, it's like, let's play big here. It's a really beautiful church. Really, really beautiful. So when Saturn was going through my eighth house, um, now it became real. So Paul wanted a fair amount of money. Like his fee was he was going to get $5,000 no matter what. That was his fee, and then he wanted to be put up at the Nikko Hotel in Japantown. It was part of his flyer, right? His waiver, and pay for his meals. And then he had a companion, a lovely, lovely person, and to take care of her. So that's what I had to deal with. Then I had to deal with the rental of the church. I had to deal with insurance. I had to do all these things in order to make it happen. And my buddy Stephen Kent, um, who plays didgeridoo, I brought him along, and he played the didgeridoo in this big, beautiful church, right? And I just wanted Stephen to be a part of it because he was a good guy, and he also, had a local radio show, so he would be helpful for promotion. And that started my journey with Saturn through the eighth house. And when you're responsible for kind of that nut to crack, like I had to get to $7,000 minimum before I could make any money or make my money back. There's an incentivization to not fail, right? And so when I had Saturn going through my eighth house, and this is, we'll get into some astrology here. I became very cognizant of not failing, right? Like the eighth house ruled by Pluto, you get a little obsessed with the eighth house. So I was going through a death, right? I was going through this death of me kind of being this free-spirited music guy and having a gig where I traveled all around the world. I got to hang out with people and stay out way too late at times and get paid for it. Right now, I'm a dad. I'm responsible. So there's a part of me that's dying. But then I had to redefine myself on my own terms. And this is where we get into this concept of soul retrieval, which I don't necessarily like. I don't put a whole lot of stock in other people to help you do this soul retrieval stuff. I'm just telling you, because you can do it yourself. Like when I say soul, I'm not talking about even past lives. I'm talking about parts of who you are from your past that you have somehow disassociated yourself from, right? Or part of you got lost along the way. And that's what happened to me when I was 20 years old. And I was at that time, and I've told the story before, that I was kind of this hot shot, like young sort of producer at this college TV station that was a PBS affiliate. I was very good at what I did. And I had a big idea, and it was for a miniature golf tournament, also a fundraiser, and also the last episode of this show that we did called Peninsula Weekly, which I named, by the way. And I started off great guns. I got the celebrities. I got the prizes for the tickets in the auction. I secured the space down at the big miniature golf place in Redwood City. I did all that, right? I put everything in place, and then it got away from me. I wasn't strong enough to hold on to my territory. And this other guy and then the teacher of the class kind of took, to say that they took it would be giving them too much power. I'd let them take it, right? I abdicated my authority. I was young, I was 19, just barely 20, right? And there was a situation where we were doing a walkthrough at the golf place, and I got into a conflict with the teacher, and it was very public. And I gently put my hand on her shoulder to try to, calm her down. And she violently pushed my hand away and yelled, "Don't you touch me," like I was assaulting her or something, right? It was really weird. And um, I had to go and talk to the dean of the communications department. And what's ironic is that I'd grown up with his son for a few years in Millbrae, but had lost touch with him. So he knew who I was from when I was a young kid. But this was a new version of me now. And so he had their version of the story and I had my version of the story. and he sided with their version of the story. And I was completely shattered and demoralized. And the show was a success, but it was not a success for me. In fact, it was an absolute failure. And I wound up having a fair amount of shame around it. So I wound up leaving television and I went to San Francisco State and I studied English literature instead. I wanted to be as far away from that world as possible. So I immersed myself in books and nerds, right? I climbed into books and read. And what was interesting about that time when I was producing this concert is that Paul Horn had played for Frank Sinatra. So he was in Frank's band. And I was doing everything in my power to make sure that this thing wouldn't fail every single hour of the day. And this is, again, this is the eighth house now we're talking about. We're talking about Saturn. So people would say, well, just envision it being a success. Right? Just hold that positive idea. I was not motivated by the positive idea. I was motivated by fear. And sometimes fear is an amazing motivator, right? I was afraid that this thing would be a failure, and I could not have it fail. I was married, I just had a kid, and there was a big cash outlay. So I did not leave any stone unturned in terms of promotion. Every day I'd say, what could I do? What could I do? Where could I go? I would stand outside of concerts that had similar music. And I wouldn't even go to the concert. I'd just stand outside the concert and I'd hand out flyers and I'd give them to people, right? I mean, that's what I would do. And there was more. So there's a station called KMBR in San Francisco, and they're a sports station. And I knew that the guys in the morning show had a thing for Frank Sinatra. They loved him. I actually managed to get Paul an interview on this sports station, the 50,000 watt flamethrower, right? It was great. Now, I don't know how many people are going to come to the concert, but again, I can't leave any stone unturned. So one of the things that I did is I reached out to this guy who was a program director at the college that I went to where this event fell apart from my 20s. And I asked him if he'd like to have Paul on his show and talk about what he's doing in the concert. He said, sure, come on down. Now, granted, this was the Friday before the concert, but you're going to do anything you can in order to promote the show, right? That could be 10 tickets for me. So I go down there and Paul does a great interview. And one of the guys on camera was a guy who was part of that original production where I lost my shit, right? And everything fell apart. He remembered me and I remembered him. And his memory of it was that it was really positive. And my memory of it was anything but that. But having him as part of that experience solidified it for me that what I was really doing with this event was I was recapturing part of my soul. Like part of me that had been abjectly defeated, a part that I had a role in, by the way, because I let it get away from me. And that is the eighth house, right? Like you can really go into the depths with the eighth house, and especially with Saturn, the big guns, Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, but really Saturn. And it was motivated. It wasn't a Jupiterian motivation. Jupiter's like, yeah, hey, it's all going to work out, right? It was like, what could go wrong? That's very Saturnian. And so those things are important, right? And a lot of times we got really gassed up with, the power of yes, right? Or follow your bliss, and there is some truth to that. The yes was asking Paul to do the concert. That was Jupiter talking. Saturn was don't lose your ass, don't fuck up, and come out of this thing with a greater sense of accomplishment. And that's what happened. I made some money. I did okay. I didn't make a ton, but I didn't lose money. And Paul had a great experience. Stephen had a great experience. Everybody associated with it had a great experience. And I don't know if I'd ever have a concert again like that, but that I love doing events. It's part of my chart. It's the 11th house, and we're gonna have another one here in the Hill Country on the eclipse. It'll be the 5th one. And last year we had David, and it was great turnout and great success, and everybody had, and I enjoy it. It's a one part of my year, but I really enjoy it because there's so many kind of plates in the air, and there's so many people involved, and I get to play the role of MC, and it's like a production in a movie, and I've never produced a movie or directed a movie, but it kind of feels like that, right? And this year, the star of the movie is the eclipse, and it's going to be really interesting. Now, I have perhaps a very interesting surprise on the way with this event, which I cannot divulge at this point in time. You have to live a little bit with the mystery, right? And look, I got to say this because I know if I don't say it, I might hear about it. But Dr. JoJo is always instrumental in this event. Like I couldn't have done any of these events without her. She has just really been the glue that has bound the spine of the event together. So I need to do a little shout out there, so she knows that I recognize her participation. So anyway, I do enjoy it, right? And even the Paul Horn event I loved. It was great, very collaborative. All right, so that's a little bit of an intro. If you don't know it by now, I don't have a guest, right? So we're going to do a little something different today. We're going to start with this, and then we'll get into some astral weather for the weekend. Virgo, I've been so fucking busy. I love it. I love it. Like new clients, just a lot going on, right? I'm digging it. I'm digging the Mars and Virgo energy. I hope you're enjoying it. We've had this grand trine happening. It's been a good grand trine. I hope you've been taking advantage of it, making headway, being diligent, putting your nose to the grindstone, because there's opportunity here, for everybody, right? So what I want to do, I want to get into the astral weather, but I also want to talk about this song that everybody's talking about, Rich Men Above Richmond. And I want to play the song, and I want to talk about the astrological connection to the song. Like you can see what's happening astrologically through the singer and through the song. We're going to get into that. So let me cue up the song, and let's listen to it together. Rich Men North of Richmond. Oliver Anthony. Now that's not his real name, but we're not going to hold that. We're not going to hold that against him. There we go. Now I hope this works, because StreamYard with the settings. Let me just go through the settings here with audio. Speaker, internal. We got the live. Let's do that. Internal speakers built in. Zoom audio device virtual. Let's do, because a lot of times when I play something, it doesn't play the audio on the share. But let me try it. Let's see what happens. Present. Slides, extra camera. Let's do share screen. Share audio tab. Okay, so the audio is there. Window, Chrome tab, share audio tab. All right. If this doesn't work, you'll get my lav mic. Let's listen to this song and just try to take it in. And then we're going to break this down astrologically. Oliver Anthony, Rich Men North of Richmond. Here we go.
My soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, 'cause the rich men. I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, north of rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Wow. Wow. Let's play it again.
Well, I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, 'cause the rich men. I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men know the rich men, Lord knows they all just want to have total control. Want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men know the rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Well, that's what you call the blues right there. That is the blues. And I'm going to go through this a little bit and do my best to articulate the appeal of this song. And also bring in some of the astrological components, which I think are here. One of the things that has really struck me about how people are responding to this is that this is a universal anthem. There are people who are conservative, who are on the right, well, they're lapping this up like gravy. But when you go through some of the reaction channels, a lot of them that are being produced by so-called, black dudes, whatever, right? Black women, they're digging this. They love this. Why do they love this? Because it's the blues. It has soul, right? This is the universal appeal of this song. This guy is bleeding his soul out here. Like, he just didn't sit down in a Starbucks, and hang out with AI and write this thing. Like, you can tell that this guy has gone through some things. Like, he has felt everything that he's writing about. And I've done a little bit of research on him. He seems like a very serious guy. Seems like he's got some character. Seems like he's been through something, like battling with what he would say is mental health. You get people who are open and sensitive, and they're taking on the same things we are, but they're taking it in differently. They're processing it differently. And then, luckily for him, the output is art. And this is the antithesis of the world that we've been living in, right? The world that we've been living in is, AI produced tracks and everything is on demand. This is about as fucking analog as it gets here. He is a reminder of what it is to be a human. A lone voice. One lone voice, no overdubs. It's him, his guitar, the mic, nature. That's it, right? That's it. And the things he says inside the song, man, We're not talking about minors on an island. Who is he talking about? He's talking about Jeffrey fucking Epstein. That's who he's talking about. And he is taking aim at a world that is diseased, dysfunctional, and absolutely and utterly enabled. You know, a certain group of people who have kind of all joined forces and created a mutual appreciation society for all the wrong reasons. Right? They have created their own version of God. God that gives them permission to be lazy, get fat, demand that others live life the way that they think they should live or not live, right? This is a group that has been empowered, and it's through their mutual consent with one another, their love of one another, where their permission to live their lives this way has arisen. And it is an untouchable class up until now. The tide is turning. And do I have compassion for these people? Mostly, yes, because they are deeply wounded people. And instead of accepting their wound and going through their wound completely, what they've done is they've created a buffer zone with all these other wounded people. They've created like this collective sort of mindset, a Borg in some ways, a purple-haired Borg. That's what we're talking about. And they all give each other permission. And anything that questions or challenges their position, there's no talking about it. There's no dialoguing about it. You know, when I first started to really get wind of this was around, I don't know, 2015, 2016. And I used to see these strange posts on Twitter. And it was women, by and large, women, okay, who were really obese, and going to doctors and asking doctors to treat their condition. And they did not want to hear a lecture from the doctor about, well, maybe it would be healthier for you if you lost about 80 or 90 pounds. They didn't want to hear that. And they were clear that they didn't want to hear that. They were like, fuck you, don't body shame me. Just do your job and make me better. That's what I was seeing. It's like, really? Really? We all know, right? Like some people can carry some extra pounds and it's fine. I don't have an issue with people who are big people, but there was almost like this blatant passive aggressive kind of stance. Like, I am going to be grossly overweight. I'm going to have a medical condition, maybe 2, maybe 3, and you're not going to tell me to change my life. You're just going to give me a fucking drug because that's your job, motherfucker, right? And we've seen this. And this is a group that has become radicalized, right? Radicalized. And I feel bad for them to some degree. And really, I'm going to get back to him. But the bigger question is, what do we do? Like, what do we do? How do you flip that mindset or that body set? And it's not just women, by the way. There's a whole, there's memes galore that we can throw out there. And just like, what do we do with that? I don't have an answer for that, by the way. I don't have an answer for that. But this guy is struggling with it. He doesn't know what to do either. But what he does know is that there's a group of rich men north of Richmond who are running the game. And they're putting guys like him down. And he says, keeping men down. When he says men, he means men. He's not talking about the universal signature or nomenclature for being a human. He's talking about dudes. He's speaking directly to men. It's a powerful, powerful song. He's addressing things in a way, articulating them, and it's raw, right? It's raw, it's primary. The other thing that's interesting about this is he's from the South. Oh, wow. Does this really trigger some people, right? North of Richmond? Got a little bit of a Deliverance vibe here. Oh, is he a racist? Is he a white? Does he have a a sheet over there behind that cement column? I mean, so that's another part of this as well. Right? This is really interesting stuff. Culturally, this is a flashpoint. All right, let's talk about the astrology. True node, where is it? It's in Aries, right? And what do we associate Aries with? The color red. The color red. Aries is the head, right? So we got a red beard here with the true node in Aries. And Aries is about what? The individual. We're not talking about a band. A band would be Aquarius. We're not talking about a band. We're not talking about a DJ. We're talking about a dude with a guitar. Aries. Single pointed, laser focused. This is what we're getting. And he's a dude, right? It's male energy. And he's talking about keeping men down. Chiron in Aries, the wounded male. And Chiron and the true node are on a collision course with one another. So what I think we're going to see here is we're going to see the reintegration of the masculine principle. And this is the beginning. This is the anthem that is singing towards that reunification of the wounded male and the reclaiming of the masculine principle. And I know a lot of women out there would be very, very thankful that there are men who are rediscovering themselves or this whole idea and notion around being a man. Like, thank you, thank God. Finally, women are very good at multitasking and they're very good at handling things. But that doesn't mean they should handle things all the time, right? This is a very interesting song. Astrologically, this is Aries. This is the true node in Aries. It broke when Mars is in Virgo, right? The everyday man. He's talking about working for a living, a slave wage, overtime. What does Mars rule? Rules Aries, right? So we have rulership here, Mars in Virgo, true node in Aries, Chiron in Aries. Are you getting the picture here? This is a really important song. It's a really important song. Somebody, some record company offered him $8 million. I don't know what the deal was about. He said no. He said no. $8 million wasn't enough. This guy's got character. He's got integrity. This land is your land for our time. By the way, Woody Guthrie was red. He was a total red, right? This guy's not a red. He's a red beard, but he's not a red. This guy he's an individual. He's a human. He's a man, and he's trying to sort his way through a world that's upside down. And this is his version of I've had enough. And we know we know who's running the show, and it ain't us. Very interesting. The other thing, astrologically, is Jupiter and Taurus. Taurus rules the throat, right? Rules the throat. And what does he have right here? Got himself a cow, Taurus, right on his chest, right over his heart. So now we can see Taurus here. He's in nature. Uranus and Taurus. It's the internet. Good stuff. Really good stuff. And I don't know what's going to happen with Oliver Anthony. All I know is that he has done us all a great service by being a voice and singing about some things that we all know about and singing about them in a way that is unapologetic. And you can hear the pain, right? That's the blues. You can hear the pain in his voice. And it's universal. It's a universal pain. It's great. Something we need. Music is healing. And this is it's not an easy listen in some ways, but it's cathartic. And psychically, it's what we need. And when you hear a song like this, right? It's anthemic. And we look at the music industry. It's dead. It's dead. And I've been lamenting the fact that there's nothing new. And what do we get? We get, we get on the other side, we get Sexy Red, right? Who is not sexy. Not sexy. Cardi B. Sexy Red. But this is what we're getting. K-pop, J-pop, all those, weird little androgynous leaning into femme boy bands. Syrupy garbage. You listen to that stuff enough and you'll get diabetes of the soul. Not this. This is carnivore. This is pure carno right here. This is what you're getting. And every now and then there is a song that is an anthem for the times. It's rare. Not every era or epoch has an anthem. I remember as a kid, must have been about maybe 7 years old, walking through the parking lot of my elementary school just outside of San Francisco, and I heard the Youngbloods. Come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another. Right? That was an anthem for the time. Right? There are anthems. If I went through my song catalog, you could probably find them. Right? You can throw some out there in chat. What do you think are the anthems at certain times? This is the anthem for our time now. And it's interesting that Anthony kind of sounds like Anthem, right? It's not his full name. I think Oliver is his grandfather or something like that. But he makes no bones about it. He's not trying to hide who he is. And, and in numerology, they talk about, how the first letters of your name sort of define who you are, right? So by making Oliver his first name, he's got O here, which is open, right? He's open. And it's clear he's open. You don't make music like this unless you're open. And then you take the O away and it's liver, right? So it's the liver that we all have. The liver is a really important organ, right? It processes our emotions and anger specifically, but it's also liver, like somebody who lives. So this is just my little astrological breakdown here. I think Aries is playing a big role. It's primary. Aries is primary. It's stripped down. And this is what you're getting. You're getting the red beard of the Aries true node right there. Jupiter and Taurus, exalting the throat. And then you have your own little Jupiter and Taurus symbol right there on his chest. Mars and Virgo, the everyday everyman, who's nothing like the Richmond north of Richmond. Bravo. You know, we live in a culture where it's like, yeah, do something like that again. If this guy never made another song again like this, or ever really, it'd be fine. I hope he does. I hope he comes up with more things that are meaningful for him, if that's what he's into, right? But that's part of the, you know, the trap of you know, the consumption society. Well, he's got to produce something else. He's got to outdo the thing that he just did. I mean, as content creators, we kind of get caught up in that trap sometimes. Like, oh shit, I got to come up with something better. Like today, I'm thinking, I got to get a guest. I couldn't get a guest. What am I going to? Well, I'll do this. But he doesn't have to do anything else. He doesn't want to. He did this, right? And this thing is powerful, really powerful. It's a sign and it's a song for the times. And if this is the anthem of the true node in Aries, I'm looking forward to where this thing goes next. So there you are, a little breakdown. What do you guys think of the song? Let me, what do you guys think of it? The ladies will be after him. Here we go. Tom brings this up. Oliver resides in Farmville, Virginia with his 3 dogs and a plot of land he plans to turn into a small farm to raise livestock. Simple, right? Aries, the pioneer stock. I have a shirt like this is bull shirt. I'm bringing it to the Hill Country event. Good. Ani, Oliver equals a symbol of peace and friendship. Nice one. Steve, it's not the system, it's the administration and followers. It's a really good question. It's a chicken egg. Does the system breed the administration and the followers? Or is it the followers who are part of the system, that were bred out of the system, that keep the system alive? It's an interesting question. Sure, compare that to the Doja Cat song where she's embracing selling her soul for success. In the song Paint the Town Red, she's celebrating her sellout to the devil. Yeah, I've seen her at Fashion Week, right, where she's just draped in red, like she's been bathed in blood. Yeah, very different. The worlds are we're being shown these worlds. You know, what side are you on? It's getting real clear. Jesse Colin Young made that song, didn't write it, which surprised me. It was Youngbloods, right? Oh, we got a birth date. Thank you, Sue. I was looking for that. June 30th, 1992. He's a Cancer. There you go. Thank you. I was looking for that. Well done, Sue. Cancer. Those are Cancerian values, right? Those are very Cancerian values. I can't stand auto-tune. Nobody really likes auto-tune except the people using it. This man will blow his ginger off because he fools with the hydraulics with the engine running, laughs it off, and his buddies pat him on the back. Really? I don't really think he cares about it, honestly. Let's see, where are we? Sue, where's Sue? Let me look that up. Let's just look that up. Let's see what he's got cooking astrologically. $1992. He's a millennial. He's a good millennial. All right, June 30th. What do we got? Double Cancer, Sun in Cancer, New Moon in Cancer, Mercury in Leo, Venus in Cancer, Mars in Taurus. Here we go. There's your Taurus, Mars in Taurus. Jupiter in Virgo, right? So interesting connection there. Expansion, working class. Mars in Virgo. Saturn in Aquarius. So he's just gone through a Saturn return. And of course, the standard Aquarian, millennial outer planets, Uranus and Capricorn, Neptune and Capricorn, Pluto and Scorpio. True node in Capricorn, 0 degrees. Interesting. Chiron in Leo. And he comes out with the song during Leo season. Healing is Chiron. Is Chiron healing us? Thanks for that, Sue. Appreciate that. Let's see. What else we have here? Yep, Mercury and Leo. Cancers have soul, right? I agree with you. They do have soul. We need divine intervention. What does that mean? What does that mean, divine intervention? Does that mean that we're going to have a catastrophic event on the planet and that we all have to pull together and be one family? I mean, that's a version of divine intervention, isn't it? You know, like something like the splitting of the New Madrid fault line, right? That would be divine intervention. Maybe we're our own version of divine intervention. Maybe divine intervention starts with each and every one of us. Just food for thought. All right, why don't we take a quick look at the astrology for now? Let's do a little astro weather. Let's do that. Now. It's all about now. Okay. And what time is it? 1:13. Let's do it. All right. Here we go. Your chart of the moment and your astro weather. All right, so we're coming off the new moon. So tonight, when you look up in the sky, there is a very good chance you will see Mars and a crescent moon. How about that? Look for that. That'll be cool, right? So let's see. The moon will be above Mars. You'll see it. So look to the western horizon tonight, and you'll be able to see that crescent moon. being illuminated by Mars, right? So you have the masculine and the theoretical feminine together in the sky. And we're still in this grand trine period. And, you know, the moon in Virgo leading into the weekend, if you've got things to do around the house and get your stuff done, it's a good moon for that. Sunday, moon in Libra, relax. That would be my stratagem, right? Just relax with the moon in Libra. Socialize, enjoy your Sunday, go out for brunch. But between now and Saturday, put some work in. It's good. It's good, right? Work cleanses the soul. The good work. And we're talking around the house, right? The moon is domestic. So around the house. And you know what? I'll tell you what else. If you were really ambitious, really ambitious, you could go through your stuff today and you could fire up a yard sale and you could make some money tomorrow. Now, you could be the person that goes to the yard sale and maybe find something a little undervalued. Tomorrow's a good yard sale day. Either do it, get her done, and make some money and clear some clutter, or get out there, cruise around. You might find something of value, right? But, you know, you could do it in the morning. That's usually the best time for yard sales, right? Because you've got all these scavengers with yard sales. So do it in the morning. Either do your own. If you've been planning on doing a yard sale, it's happening tomorrow. Good on you. Your timing is really good. And then after that, you can do your work, right? So I would say Saturday, good yard sale day. Good day to work around the place. And then Sunday, kick back, moon in Libra, enjoy your time. Go out to brunch and have some, you know, Libra's good for shit like that. We got somebody at the door. Who's this? Hello? What's up? Yeah, come in. If it's open. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I'll be back. Sorry, I forgot you were coming today.
Yeah.
My mom's in there. Good. How are you?
Yeah, sorry, I can close it. Okay, thank you. Hi, young lady. Oh, hi, how are you? I didn't know you were coming today. Well, I want to remember when.
It was on the calendar. I put it on your calendar.
What?
It's on your calendar on your phone. Sorry about that. The nurse arrived. All right. Where were we? Garage sales. Let me just clip this here. It's supposed to come up. Yeah. So you go out and have a brunch on Sunday. Libra is good for shit like that, right? I would say that we're not quite at the peak of productivity. You know, we've got another 4 or 5 degrees of Mars coming in and trining Pluto, right? So this is still a very productive period. It'll start to separate from Uranus a bit. So, you know, work hard, cash in. And then Mars moving into Libra presents a whole different kettle of fish. I could see Mars and Libra being a very fractious time. It is Mars in Libra. Is the sign aspect of the social justice warrior. And I've been hearing about Antifa again. They're dusting off Antifa and they're bringing Antifa off the bench. Keep an eye on that with Mars and Libra. You're gonna hear more about Antifa again. Heaven help us. What else do we have going on here? Venus is retrograding, stops at 12 degrees, so we got about 5 more degrees worth of the retrograde. And I've enjoyed this Venus retrograde, actually. I made an apology to somebody with Venus retrograde. It was a heartfelt apology. And, maybe we'll get our social life and our friendship back on track. The apology was accepted, which is always good. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes there's no guarantee that apology will be accepted, right? But Venus retrograde in Leo is good for that. And especially with the square with Jupiter. Jupiter squares open things up. It's like opening up your solar plexus in your chest cavity. Yeah, it's good. Also, with Venus retrograde, getting back in touch with things that you love is another component. Usually hobbies, things that you have forgotten or dropped along the way. It's a good time to rediscover those things. What's it like to play? Really play, have fun, enjoy yourself. I mean, this is really the most revolutionary fucking thing you can do, is to not allow the rich men north of Richmond to shit on your joy, right? This is the most revolutionary thing you can do right now. Don't let them shit on your joy. Don't let them steal your passion, the love for the things that you have. And it doesn't have to be huge. I mean, to love your garden, your dogs, whatever, right? Certain traditions, your family. Do not let this. I ran across this post from 4chan back in, I think it's from 2014. It was really prescient. Really, really prescient. And the gist of the post was that this is how the world was going to end. It wasn't going to end in the world as we know it, right? It wasn't going to end in a bloody, revolutionary, confrontational, brother against brother conflict. The world would end when people could no longer afford to buy things. Their living spaces got smaller and smaller and smaller. That the simple joys in life would be harder to come by. That the pastimes, the hobbies, the things that people would find purpose and meaning in outside of their work would be, they'd be demonized. They would be taken over, right? Like that is cultural Marxism. That even the slightest joy that you got out of something, you can't have any joy out of that anymore. Because the ideas that are associated with that thing have infected that thing. So then where do people turn to? Right? Where do they go? This is what Oliver Anthony's talking about. So the most revolutionary act that you can perform is to not allow them to interrupt your joy, your love, your ability to essentially be human, right? Because when they do that, they've won. What are you? You're just a person living in a box. And this is what Venus retrograde is about. It's like it's getting you to remember, like, who am I? Where, what makes my heart beat? And for some people, maybe they've never known that. So don't sleep on this retrograde. And Jupiter, again, it's like four. It's like, oh, yeah, I get it. I gotta open up my chest. Let it in. The sun is at 25, coming up on Regulus. It'll be there in 5 days. Used to be, Regulus used to be in Leo. 2011 went into Virgo. Changed the game. Changed the game. Let's see. We're going to have the sun opposing Saturn, but that's not for a while. We got about another week before that happens. We'll tackle that when it comes. Let's talk about the inconjunct. We've got Neptune and Pluto, and there's the sun, and that kind of gets into what I'm talking about. You know, the sun in Leo wants to express itself. It wants to feel joie de vivre, as the French would say, and then Neptune, right, in conjunct the sun. You know, it's sort of like, okay, yeah, I'm missing something here, right? I'm missing something. And Neptune here, and the missing part is the spirit, especially in Pisces. And it's retrograde. So it's reminding you, like, do you remember, like today when I was talking about when I was doing this thing with Paul Horn? To me, it was like remembering that. I was like, yeah, I remember when I was doing that. I remember how I was able to replace this broken part of my life. Well, there's kind of some of that going on here. You know, Leo is bold. You know, this is to boldly go where no man has gone before, especially with, you know, this yod. And then Pluto on the other side, again, retrograde. It's like, where's the meaning? You know, where's the meaning? And the inconjunct is you don't stop until you find it. We got 3 days here, right? 3 days with this inconjunct, with this yod. You don't stop till you find it. These are really interesting skies. Very interesting skies. The sun is in square with Uranus, breaking up patterns. Uranus in Taurus is breaking up patterns. That's what Uranus and Taurus does. You know, if things are static and they're fixed, Uranus and Taurus will break it up. It's in its detriment, right? And all those things that took place, all the innovations with Uranus and Scorpio, the best ones will still be around, but the ones that aren't really worth their salt won't be. Interesting sky. So, all right, let's go over this. Look for the Shiva moon right on top of Mars in the west. It'll be a beautiful sight tonight to behold. If I would get your work done and out of the way, because on Saturday night, Sunday, you got the moon in Libra. It's kind of lazy, right? It's kind of lazy. Hang out, relax. If you are inclined to find yourself a garage sale, go do it. Maybe have one of your own. And take some time over the next few days and see where you are in terms of this continuum. Who am I? Am I a human? What am I doing? You know, in the grand scheme of things, none of our, you know, in the grand scheme of things, like, you know, do we matter? I think it's an interesting question, but I think you have to theoretically live over the next few days like you do. And explore those things that do matter. And maybe you can come out of this with, you know what? I'm not going to let these fuckers, you know, shit on my joy, or, you know, steal the things that, and the theft is blatant at Walgreens, or it's blatant in Oakland. The theft is blatant in Ukraine, but there's a theft that isn't blatant, right? It's the things that they steal imperceptibly from each of us every single day when we allow them to. And how do we allow them to? We allow them to do that because we are not living with our purpose, our intentionality, and a sense of cohesion. This thing, this song, I'm seeing what it's doing. I'm watching, I was watching this little clip from The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God and Larry Elder. Larry Elder took Charlemagne the God to school. Oh my God. He took him to school. He basically said, why, you had Joe Biden on this show. And he basically said, if you're not voting for me, you're not black. How could you let him say that? I've never seen Charlemagne the God be at a loss for words. He was at a loss for words. He knew he was wrong. Larry Elder, and I'm not a huge Larry Elder guy. I mean, I think he's got some good talking points. But man, he put some toothpicks in Charlemagne's eyes. And that's kind of where we are, right? I'm watching this sea change. And Elder brought up a really interesting fact, and he said 20% of quote unquote black males voted for Donald Trump. And I continue to watch these shows start to grow and proliferate on YouTube. And we're watching the awakening of the so-called black male in our society. Like, they've had enough, right? That's like, we're tired of these white liberal women telling us what to do. We're tired of these black women who are caping up for these white liberal women telling us what to do. We're tired of it. It's a great development. It's a great development. They're finally figuring out that the people that they have sworn their allegiance to just keep re-upping their subscription for this soft handcuffs and mildly indentured servitude. They're finally waking up. I love it. I think it's great. And just watching that video and watching these dudes watch that guy, you can just tell, man, they're singing my song. That's their song. They're totally getting it. So it's really interesting time. And when we look at astrology and these transits, and you look at a time like this where we have this grand trine going on, right? It's powerful. And Mars is going to move on and won't be a part of this forever. But the idea is that you want to get as much mileage out of these things as possible so you can integrate them. That's how astrology works. Right? So what you're going through now, what you're doing now is all about integrating the sky. You're integrating the sky into your life. And the challenges that are there, you're working with them too. Look at Chiron squaring off against Pluto. Right? That's a challenge. Are you going to throw in the towel? No, you're not going to throw in the towel. Why? Because these two are going to meet up together. And it is going to be glorious when it does. Glorious. This is the recombination of purpose and vulnerability and healing. And for all you Gen Xers who are going through your Chiron return right now and are about to go through your Chiron return, keep going, keep pushing. Your life really starts at 50 in a lot of ways. And I've been seeing people online complain about Gen X. It's like, oh, Gen X is too weak, right? What do we get? We just get nothing but these crusty old millennials. Where's Gen X when we need them? Just wait. Just wait, right? As Gen X goes through their Chiron return, all these various degrees of Chiron, they're going to come online. And Gen X will be a force to be reckoned with. But it's not easy because a lot of them, Pluto and Libra, that's opposite Chiron and Aries. So they've got a lot to integrate. It's the generation, it's a tough generation, Gen X. I'll tell you why. Number one, the generation of broken homes. Broken homes, More divorces happen under Gen X because the divorce laws got lightened up. The other thing that happens, unfortunately, with Gen X is that's when abortions start to go through the roof because abortion becomes legal, right? So there aren't as many Gen Xers as there are millennials, believe it or not. Isn't that kind of crazy? It's true, though. The millennials outnumber Gen X. After the boomers, the millennials are the biggest generation. So Gen X has some challenges. They definitely have challenges, but their time is coming. They just have to get through their Chiron return, and they'll step up. Trust me. All right, I think that's it for today. Thanks for being here. Where are we go? 202. Good. Gen X, Pluto, and Libra. Yeah. Let's see. What do we got here? It's true. Gen X has boomer parents. I was supposed to have a millennial. Like if you look at me, my age, right? I was supposed to have a millennial, but I kind of waited. So I got a Gen Z kid. I'm happy I got a Gen Z kid. Not that I wouldn't have been happy if I had a millennial kid. Justice for all. 1565 Gen X here. Keep pushing. Your time will come. Chiron return is at 50. It takes 50 years for a Chiron transit. 50. Now, sometimes it's a little bit later because Chiron's got a bit of a weird orbit, but it's a 50-year cycle. Maybe after all the retrogrades and everything, it completes itself at 52, but all you need is one good hit of Chiron. Trust me. Jasper the Astro Cat. Katie Lane, contact me. I'll send you something. This is from Leela. I see more Black women and families stepping up too. Lots of homesteading going on in that community. Many did before. They were just busy getting on with life. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Let's see. Hey, Peter Biome, what's happening? Let's Gen X. I love Gen X. They're great. It's interesting because there's two versions of Gen X. You have kind of the late 60s version with, that kind of the tail end of Pluto and Uranus conjunction, right? And the early 70s version of Gen X. And then you have like the late 70s, early 80s, like we're in 1979, 1980, 81. That's still Gen X, but they're not quite the same. They're a bit different. Christopher Knowles was talking about Gen Xers who have died. Like he was talking about Kurt Cobain, Shannon Hoon, Sinead O'Connor. Do you know what the difference is with those people? Those are all early Gen X with Neptune and Scorpio, like the death trip, right? The later ones have Neptune and Sag. So post 70, Neptune is in Sag. So a lot of those like Gen Xers who the guy, what's his name from the Long Beach Dub All Stars, that guy, the kind of a ska guy. He's another guy that dies right around that time. Those are late Neptune in Scorpio Gen Xers. Let's see. Who else do we have? Thanks, Danny. Good to see you here. I'm giving Gen Xers a little pump. You get a little pump here. I love Gen X. Born in 78, feel more like it comes to Gen X and millennials. So Pluto goes into Scorpio in 85. That's when it really hits. People are born in 84, 83. They're kind of cuspy there a little bit. But Lana, you rock it if you want. I think we're good, right? We're good. All right. Thanks for being here. It's always a pleasure. Pleasure to serve from the Virgo and me. I'll be back on Sunday night with Sunday Night Astro Live. And I've come up with a very interesting little, how do I say it, paradigm that I want to share with you. A little version of astro theology. Astro theology that I kind of cracked open the other day. So come join me Sunday night here at 6 p.m. Also, check out the interview I did over on Old World, Florida with my good buddy, Dr. Narco Longo, my astrological son. And Monday night, Serious Sports with the great Al Dog. And big shout out to Bree and chat supplying all the graphics and video and all the good stuff. All right, I'm out of here. Use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to open what's possible. Go check out truehemscience.com. Get some of the best CBD you can. Just type in 15MINS when you check out and spend $100 or more, and you'll get some free product, which is always a good thing. All right. Take care. Bye for now.